Today we're pulling back the curtain on something most Americans probably assume is tightly regulated, but is increasingly proving to be anything but. The US Department of Homeland Security has quietly confirmed that individuals without lawful status in the country are obtaining commercial driver's licenses. Licenses that authorize them to drive massive trucks, hazardous material loads, or even passenger buses across the nation. What you're about to hear is a collision of logic, national security, federal regulation, and state policy, all coming together to form a story that, frankly, should concern every American. Back in September, the federal agency that oversees commercial driver licensing admitted to finding systematic procedural errors in multiple states. Translation: CDLs, commercial driver's licenses, were issued to people who did not meet lawful presence requirements. Some licenses were even granted with expiration dates beyond what their immigration status allowed. That means individuals who are here illegally or whose temporary permissions have already expired were still able to get or renew CDLs. And we're not talking about a handful of cases. This has been happening across the country. After the exposure, new rules were rushed through demanding stricter checks. State DMVs are now supposed to verify legal immigration status before issuing these licenses. But here's the problem. Even with those changes, enforcement is spotty at best. Just last month, federal authorities arrested nearly 100 commercial vehicle operators who were discovered to be in the US illegally while driving trucks and buses. One driver who entered the country without documents was found behind the wheel of a semi-truck with a commercial license issued by a state DMV. His CDL literally listed his name as "no name given." And it had the federal Real ID star, the same symbol that tells you this ID is verified and secure. How does something like that even happen? Because states' DMVs are issuing licenses without properly verifying names, identities, or immigration status. It's incompetence that borders on criminal negligence. And the consequences are deadly. In the first 8 months of this year, there have already been multiple fatal crashes involving drivers who held these so-called non-domiciled CDLs, meaning they were not permanent residents or citizens. In one case in Florida, an undocumented driver made an illegal U-turn in an 18-wheeler, killing 3 innocent people. That's not a small clerical error. That's a matter of life and death. Truckers across the country are furious, and they should be. Online forums have exploded with comments from drivers who followed every rule, paid every fee, and spent weeks studying for their tests. They see others skipping the line, driving without English comprehension, and putting everyone at risk. One driver wrote, "We follow every rule and they get handouts." Another complained that many applicants can't read English road signs but still get CDLs with the help of translators during tests. Imagine trying to share a highway with someone who can't read a bridge out sign or understand a police officer's command at a wait station. It's madness. So why is this happening? There are 3 reasons, and none of them make sense if you care about safety or national independence. First, there is a political conflict between federal rules and state policies. Some states, especially those that proudly call themselves sanctuaries, are more lenient with documentation. They bend or outright ignore federal immigration verification rules, and that leniency creates loopholes big enough to drive a semi through. Second, There's the labor shortage. Trucking companies have been desperate for drivers. With over 80,000 unfilled trucking positions nationwide, the industry has quietly tolerated and in some cases encouraged relaxed oversight. Desperation for labor is now overtaking concern for who's actually behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler pedaling down the interstate. Third, there's the failure of oversight itself. Some states have been issuing or renewing CDLs beyond the expiration of someone's legal stay in the country. Others skip in-person renewals altogether. Some don't even retain copies of the immigration documents they supposedly checked. And remember, this is the same government that wants to regulate everything from how much water your dishwasher uses to the kind of car you can drive. But when it comes to ensuring that the person driving a 40-ton truck at 70 miles per hour on the interstate is legally in the country and properly vetted, suddenly the rules are optional. Now let's talk about the consequences that go beyond safety. When ordinary Americans see these stories, licenses given to people here illegally, fatal crashes, law-abiding truckers punished while others cut corners, trust collapses. The system starts to feel rigged and people lose faith in government altogether. And they're right to. Every time a federal agency admits they found errors or discovered oversights, what they really mean is we weren't paying attention. This is not some obscure bureaucratic mistake. It's a symptom of a larger problem, a country where the rules apply differently depending on who you are, where you live, or which political box you check. Some defenders argue that denying CDLs to undocumented immigrants is discriminatory. But that argument ignores one key fact. These licenses aren't symbolic. They grant someone permission to operate deadly heavy machinery on public roads. If you can't legally be in the country, how can you legally be responsible for 80,000 pounds of metal moving at a highway speed? Here's what's coming next. States will face pressure to fix this or risk losing federal funding for their CDL programs. Lawsuits are likely from both sides. Victims' families will sue when crashes occur. And when immigrant advocates will sue claiming discrimination, trucking companies may also find themselves under federal scrutiny for knowingly hiring drivers with improper documentation. Meanwhile, the federal government will claim to be cracking down while the same problems quietly persist. Because this is not just about enforcement. It's about philosophy. It's about whether we still believe in borders, laws, and accountability or whether we're accepted chaos as the new normal. And here's the irony. This story is not really about immigrants at all. It's about American institutions collapsing under their own contradictions. On one hand, we say safety is non-negotiable. On the other, we let politics, profit, and bureaucracy decide who's allowed behind the wheel. The result? Innocent people die, hardworking truckers are demoralized, and public confidence erodes further. The government's job is to enforce laws, not bend them for convenience or ideology. Americans don't hate immigrants. They hate hypocrisy. They hate being told the system is fair while watching it crumble in real time. So today the question is simple. How many more errors have to happen before someone takes responsibility? How many more innocent people have to die before we stop pretending this is normal? America runs on trucks. Every piece of food, every piece of clothing, every tool in your house probably got there on a semi. That's why this matters. When the system that licenses those drivers breaks down, the entire nation is at risk. We can fix this, but only if we have the courage to admit what's really happening. Not racism, not fear, just truth. And the truth is this: our laws are being ignored, our safety is being compromised, and our leaders are pretending not to notice. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.